Sometimes it's not the pain that hurts the most. It's the way they ignored it, how someone hurt you, left without looking back, or treated you as if you were replaceable. It's not just the wound, it's the emptiness they left behind, the anger you can't scream out, the pride that forces you to smile while inside you're falling apart. And here you are, wondering how to heal something that had no closure, how to let go of someone who didn't even apologize, how to keep going without losing your mind, and even more, without losing yourself. Most will tell you to get over it, that time heals all, that it will pass. But you know it's not that simple, because when something breaks you inside, time alone doesn't rebuild anything. You need something more, something that doesn't rely on empty phrases or revenge. You need to regain your power, to return to yourself. And for that, Stoicism can be your greatest ally. This is not about acting as if nothing happened. No, it's about truly healing, looking pain in the face and not letting it control you, to stop waiting for an apology, to let go of the story, to stop being the victim, because emotional healing is not a luxury. It's a necessity if you want to live in peace with yourself. And Stoicism is not just ancient philosophy, it's a manual for internal warfare, a path of dignity, self-control, and invisible strength. In this video, we're going to go through 8 steps, 8 conscious acts to leave the wound behind without dirtying your hands. These are not magic formulas. They are decisions, each one sharp, each one designed to make you feel in control of your life again, because no one else is going to come to rescue you. This battle is yours, and it starts now. 1. Turn off the autopilot. Imagine a ship adrift without a captain, moving only by the current. It doesn't matter how strong it has been built or how many battles it has endured. If no one takes the helm, it ends up crashed, lost, or trapped in an endless circle. This is what a wounded mind living on autopilot is like. It moves forward, but without direction. It survives, but does not heal. It exists, but does not live. After someone breaks you, be it with contempt, abandonment, or indifference, there is a part of you that disconnects, as if something inside decided that it's easier not to feel, not to think, not to choose, just function. You do your tasks, talk to people, comply with the bare minimum, but it's as if everything is happening from the outside. Life goes by, and you're not there. You're in mechanical mode, protecting yourself, yes, but also distancing yourself from your own power. Stoicism would tell you that's not life, that's emotional slavery, because if you don't take control of your mind, then the wound will do it for you, and there's nothing more dangerous than a person who has stopped deciding. Do you want to heal? Then wake up. Turn off the autopilot. Stop living in victim mode. Stop waiting for the pain to dissolve on its own. Healing is not passive. It doesn't come as a favor from the universe. It is built. It is forged. And it starts when you take the helm again. This is seen in small things. You stop justifying every dark thought. You stop dragging yourself through memories. You start observing your emotions without obeying them. You breathe before reacting. You notice when you're repeating patterns. And you choose something different, not out of motivation, but discipline. Not because everything is fine, but because you deserve better than living with your head buried in the past. Marcus Aurelius wrote it with brutal honesty. Each person's life is determined by the thoughts he chooses to allow. He didn't say that emotions don't hurt. He didn't say that ignoring them is the way out. He said that you can choose which thoughts govern you, and that, when you have been emotionally destroyed, is the first act of rebellion. It's getting back to being present, getting back in control. Because being present is not just meditating or breathing deeply. Being present is facing your reality head-on and saying, this is what there is. It hurt, yes. I fell, yes. But I'm not going to stay here. It's stopping repeating the same thing every day, as if you had no choice. It's challenging your own emotional routine. It's changing that this is who I am, for this is who I don't want to be anymore. And yes, you're going to feel strange, as if you were a stranger in your own life, because getting out of autopilot is uncomfortable, but it's also powerful. Because when you're aware, you can choose, and when you can choose, you can heal. Turning off the autopilot is the first step, not the easiest, but certainly the most urgent, because as long as you remain asleep, wounded and passive, everything will remain the same. The Stoic doesn't wait for time to heal. The Stoic becomes time, decides how to act, how to think, how to live, even when the world turns its back on him. So do it. Stop, breathe, observe yourself, and make a decision. You don't have to have all the answers. You just need to be present again. Because a present mind is a free mind, and a free mind is unstoppable. 2. Break the spell of predictability. There's a moment after the pain when everything becomes predictable. You get up and you already know what's coming. The same thought, the same sadness, the same need to understand why someone treated you as if you were worthless. You sit down, eat, pretend everything is fine, but inside you know you're trapped, living the same emotional day over and over again. You're under a spell, a silent one, but lethal, the spell of predictability. Predictability is not just the physical routine, it's the mental repetition. It's that movie you play in your head with every detail of what you lived, what you said, what you didn't do, what was done to you. It's the wound turned into habit, and if you don't break it, you rot inside it. Stoicism doesn't come to stroke your ego or tell you cheap overcoming stories. It comes to tell you this: if every day you think the same, feel the same, and do the same, then you're not healing. You're deepening the wound. You're feeding it with your attention. Epictetus said, "It's not the things that harm us, but our opinion about them." And what nobody tells you is that you repeat that opinion every day, like a poisoned prayer. I wasn't enough. He left me because something was missing. It always happens to me. Phrases that you no longer question because you became addicted to them. Breaking the spell of predictability is interrupting that cycle. It's breaking the script you wrote in your mind. It's questioning what you used to take for granted. And no, it's not easy. Because predictability gives a false sense of security. At least you know how it's going to hurt. At least you know how the day is going to end. But if you want to heal, you have to risk the chaos of the new. Change the internal dialogue. Do something different. Not to distract yourself, but to show yourself that you are no longer at the same point as before. That can be as simple as stop listening to the same music that reminds you of that person. Change the place where you sit to think. Write on paper what you feel instead of drowning inside. Decide that today, at least today, you're not going to check their profile. You're not going to look for signs. You're not going to repeat the same damn story. Don't wait for the world to give you a sign to change. The sign is you when you decide that enough is enough. When you become aware that nobody is going to get out of that cycle for you. It's your mind, your body, your soul that's at stake. And here comes Stoic aggression. Not aggression towards the world, but towards your learned weakness. Towards the part of you that wants to stay comfortable in the pain. You have to fight with that part, with compassion, but also with firmness. Because if you don't, you'll live years within the same chapter. Breaking the spell of predictability doesn't mean forgetting. It means stop repeating. Healing is not erasing, it's rewriting, and for that, you need courage. The courage to look at your emotional routine and scream, "This no longer serves me. This no longer represents me. This no longer defines me." That's where the real transformation begins. The moment you do something different, even if it's small, even if it hurts. Because if it hurts, it's a sign that you're breaking out of the spell. You're starting to live with intention again, and a life with intention, although imperfect, will always be more powerful than a perfect life lived on autopilot. 3. Make your presence sacred. Imagine leaving your house open. No keys, no locks, no one watching. You leave for days, weeks, even months. When you return, you recognize nothing. There's dust in the corners, things out of place, strangers occupying the rooms, and the worst of all, you don't know when you lost control. This is what it's like to live disconnected from yourself. This is what it's like to abandon your presence. After someone emotionally breaks you, a part of you shuts down. It doesn't scream, it doesn't cry, it simply absents itself. You're there, but you're not. You fulfill the basics, but without soul. You stop inhabiting yourself, and when you don't inhabit yourself, any thought enters, any memory stays, any emotion rules, and if you're not in you, who's going to take care of what you are? Emotional pain has this trap. It convinces you that distancing yourself from you is a form of protection. But it's not. It's a slow form of self-destruction, because the further away you are from yourself, the more space the past has to keep hurting you, the more space that person has to keep living inside your head without paying rent. Stoicism teaches you that you can't control what happened, but you can decide where you are. And your place is within you, present, conscious, firm. It's not about repeating nice phrases or pretending everything is fine. It's about looking at your own face in the mirror and not looking away, breathing and knowing that this body, this mind, this life, they belong to you. And if you're not there for you, no one else is going to be. Making your presence sacred means to stop living as if you were an empty space waiting for someone to come and fill it. It means deciding that your attention, your energy, your time are not available for what destroys you. It means protecting your mind as you would protect your home. Start with the minimum. When you think, do it with intention. When you feel, allow it without surrendering. When you're with someone, choose to be. And when you're with yourself, don't run away. No more excuses, no more evasion, no more being alone halfway. Because every time you run from yourself, you become more fragile. And every time you stay with yourself, even in pain, you become stronger. Being present is not comfortable. At first, it's unbearable, because that's where everything you avoided is. The grief, the abandonment, the sadness you swept under the emotional rug. But there's also your power, your clarity, your recovery. No one heals by running away. No one rebuilds from absence. You have to return, and you have to do it firmly, like someone reclaiming their house after an invasion. Without negotiating with the past, without asking for permission, without fear. Make your presence something sacred, because only when you're complete can you decide with strength. You can act with meaning, you can move forward without dragging yourself. And that's what you're due now, to return to yourself, not as you were before, but more conscious, more solid, more awake. Because a person who returns to their center after having lost themselves is one who no longer lets themselves be broken by anything or anyone. 4. Leave as the wise do. Think of a fire. When everything burns, when smoke covers everything and the air turns to poison, the body does not hesitate. It leaves. It doesn't look back. It doesn't collect photos. It doesn't say goodbye. It runs. Because staying would mean dying. This is how you must learn to leave, without drama, without screams, without theatrical farewells, only with clarity, because when something no longer nourishes you, it consumes you, and staying too long is burning inside. After an emotional wound, many people make the same mistake. They stay waiting for them to change, to apologize, to understand what they did, waiting for justice, validation, recognition, and that waiting poisons. Because every day you spend there without moving is a day you are not growing. It's a day you're not healing. Stoicism teaches that there are moments where the wisest, the bravest, is not to resist, but to retreat, leaving not as an act of defeat, but as a conscious choice to preserve your dignity, to put an end to what breaks you, even if it still hurts, even if it's hard for you. Leaving as the wise do is not escaping. It's recognizing that there are places where your worth is no longer visible, where your words are not heard, where your presence no longer means anything. And in those places, staying is an act of betrayal against yourself. Wise is the one who doesn't need to destroy anything to leave, doesn't need revenge or scandal or to prove that they are right, just leaves. And in that act, there is a brutal force, because whoever leaves in silence does so with a peaceful soul, with the power of someone who no longer needs to prove anything. But to be able to leave like this, you have to work on something very deep: detachment. Let go of the fantasy of what could have been. Let go of the need to be understood. Let go even of the habit of clinging to pain as if it defined you. Many people don't heal because they confuse pain with love. And there they stay, attached to a story that has already ended. But you're not here to drag yourself. You're here to elevate yourself. And for that, you have to learn to leave. When you decide to leave a place that hurts you, you're not just closing a chapter. You're sending a clear message to the universe. I'm worth more than this, and I no longer stay where I'm not treated well. That act marks the beginning of your rebirth. You don't need to shout it. You don't need to explain it. Just act. Retreat with your head held high. Don't block to draw attention. Don't erase everything hoping someone notices your absence. Just get out of there. Disappear from the emotional field of whoever failed you. Because sometimes the greatest act of self-love is to disappear without making a noise. And when you leave, don't come back. Not out of pride, but out of respect. Because whoever was able to break you without looking back doesn't deserve you coming back with the hope of being mended. What breaks carelessly is not fixed with promises. It's overcome, it's buried, and it's left behind. Leave as the wise do, firm, silent, intact, without taking hatred, but also without illusions, and above all, without losing the most important thing, your peace. Because in the end, whoever knows how to leave well never gets lost. They find themselves. 5. Use silence as a sword. Not all battles are won by talking. Sometimes the sharpest weapon is not a response, nor an explanation, nor a last word. It's silence, conscious, chosen silence, the kind that is not cowardice or indifference, but a declaration of power. This type of silence does not keep quiet because it has nothing to say. It keeps quiet because it has understood that it is no longer worth speaking. And that, when you have been hurt, is one of the highest forms of emotional intelligence. After a betrayal, an abandonment, or feeling despised, what the body most demands is reaction. You want to shout, clarify, defend yourself. You want the other person to know what they did, to understand the damage, to acknowledge their mistake. But the more you talk, the more you wear yourself out. Because whoever wanted to hurt you is not going to listen with their heart. They are only going to use your words to continue wearing you down or to inflate their ego. And that's where silence comes in as a sword, because it cuts off the power dynamic that the other person still believes they have over you. Silence is not submission. It's strategy. It's the moment when you stop participating in the game, when you decide that you are no longer going to feed the argument, the manipulation, or the pity. It's the line you draw between your dignity and the need for validation. And it's not about holding a grudge or closing your heart. It's about closing the circle. Understanding that there are things that don't need a response, just distance. Because not everything deserves your energy, and even less your voice. The Stoic does not speak to win arguments. They speak when it's worth it. And when it's not, they keep silent. Not out of weakness, but out of mastery. Because the one who masters their tongue masters their mind. The one who doesn't need to shout what they feel has already resolved it inside. And when you reach that point, you stop wanting to be understood and start seeking peace. Many times after an emotional wound, the loudest noise does not come from outside, but from within. The mind becomes an endless conversation. What happened, why it happened, what you should have said, what you would say if you could speak again. And there too, silence is needed. Not the silence of ignoring what you feel, but that of observing it without getting entangled, without reacting to every thought as if it were absolute truth, inner silence to cut the drama, to create space between you and the pain, to regain control. Keeping quiet is not hiding, it's strengthening. It's building a wall of calm between you and the chaos. It's deciding that you're not going to live defensively, that you're not going to explain your worth, that you're not going to beg for understanding. It's saying with your absence what you're no longer going to repeat with words. And that silence, when it comes from consciousness, speaks louder than any speech, because it shows that you are no longer available for conflict, that you no longer need to close anything because you've already closed it within you, that you're no longer waiting for justice or dialogue or apologies. You're focused on you, on your process, on your life. Use silence as a sword, not to hurt, but to protect yourself, to cut toxic ties, to defend your energy, to mark the end. And when you do it firmly, without warnings, without drama, only with the strength of someone who has already understood that their peace is non-negotiable. Because there are battles that are won with noise, but the most important ones are won in silence. 6. Make time your invisible ally. Time does not heal by itself. That is one of the sweetest lies that people repeat to console themselves. As if staying still, crying, repeating the story in your head for weeks or months would erase the damage. Time can be medicine or poison. It all depends on how you use it. If you waste it waiting for something external to return your calm, all you are going to achieve is to poison yourself more. But if you make it your ally, if you take advantage of it intelligently, with purpose, with intention, time becomes an unstoppable force. After an emotional injury, time seems to move differently. There are days that feel eternal. Others pass without you noticing. What hurts today hurts tomorrow, and what you thought you were going to overcome in a week still burns inside you after a month. And that's okay. It's not about forcing yourself to go faster. It's about not getting stuck. Healing emotionally is not an automatic process. It's not about letting the days go by and praying for the pain to disappear. It's about choosing every day to do something that brings you back to yourself. Stoicism does not romanticize time. It respects it. Marcus Aurelius wrote every night as if he wasn't going to wake up, because he understood that every wasted minute was a minute he would never recover. And that thought doesn't have to depress you, it has to push you. How much more are you going to give to the past? How many more days are you going to live waiting for someone to fix you? The time you lose on what no longer has a solution is time you could be using to build yourself from scratch, to read, train, learn, connect with yourself, grow, evolve. Every second you invest in yourself, even if you don't see immediate results, is a seed. And the best part is that no one can take it away from you. Make time your invisible ally when you understand that healing is not seen, but felt. You don't need to prove to anyone that you're better. You don't need to post uplifting quotes or pretend strength. You just need to get up every day with the decision to take care of yourself. And that, over time, transforms you, silently, profoundly. There is an unstoppable force in those who know how to wait without stopping, in those who do not run after what they lost, but also do not sit crying. That person is using time to their advantage. While the rest repeat the same pain in a loop, you are moving forward, even if it's just a centimeter a day. And that consistency, that emotional discipline, is what ends up making the difference. Don't fool yourself. Pain wants you to stay still, to consume yourself slowly, remembering what was, dreaming of what could have been. But you are not made for that. You are not here to live on pause. You are here to move, to decide, to act even with a broken heart. Because it's not the intact heart that makes you strong, it's what you do while it bleeds. Every day you don't fall, even if you feel weak, is a victory. Every day you don't go back to look for what hurt you is an act of self-love. Every day you choose to grow, even if it's in silence, you are winning. And that, over time, accumulates. It becomes power, peace, freedom. Make time your invisible ally. Don't run against it. Don't take refuge in it as an excuse. Use it. Make it your accomplice. Because in the end, time does not heal. You heal with what you do while time passes. 7. Disrupt the script they already knew. There are people who believe they know you so well, they can anticipate your reaction. They know what you're going to say, how you're going to act, how much you're going to endure, when you're going to give in. They know your pain, and they use it. They know you're going to stay, that you're going to apologize even if it's not your fault, that you're going to keep seeking them even if they close the door on you. And you, without realizing it, adapted to that script. You followed it as if it was the only way to be in the world, as if there was no alternative. But enough is enough. If you truly want to heal, you have to disrupt everything. Break that pattern. Rewrite yourself, not with words, but with actions. Because until you change your behavior, you will continue to be a character trapped in a story that no longer represents you. Disrupting the script is not acting impulsively, it's acting strategically, surprising with silence when a reaction is expected, walking away when you used to beg, saying no where before you would bend, rising without warning, healing without a fuss, because nothing unsettles those who underestimated you more than seeing you change the script without prior notice, seeing you step out of the role you always assumed, the role they took for granted. For a long time, every time someone hurt you, you acted as if you had no choice. You reacted from the wound, from dependency, from fear. You kept telling yourself that this is who you are, that you don't know how to do anything else, that you can't be different. But you can. It just hurts. Because changing the script implies betraying what you once were. And that's scary. But if you don't do it, you'll remain chained to an identity that no longer serves you. Stoicism teaches you that your actions must be consistent with your principles, not your emotions. That you decide how to act, not anger, not abandonment, not fear. And in that choice lies freedom, not in the other person valuing you, not in everything going well. Freedom is in being unpredictable when that means breaking with your old version. Disrupting the script is not about doing it for revenge, it's about doing it for dignity. It's the moment when you look at yourself in the mirror and decide that you're not going to repeat what once destroyed you, that you're not going to keep giving power to what sinks you, that you're going to choose differently, even if your body shakes, even if they say you've changed, even if they don't understand. Because it's no longer about them understanding, it's about you respecting yourself. The person you were when you were broken can't be the same one to heal you. You have to evolve. And for that, you must break your own habits, those automatic little decisions that always lead you to the same point, the answers you give without thinking, the messages you send to fill a void, the excuses you use to justify weakness. All of that has to fall. And no, it's not going to be comfortable, nor quick, nor perfect. You're going to have relapses. You're going to feel confused. But every time you act differently, you're sending a direct message to your subconscious. I'm not the same person anymore. I'm not playing the same game. Disrupting the script is regaining control of your story. It's becoming the author, not the victim. It's taking the pen and writing a version of you that doesn't depend on anyone to feel valuable. Because when you change your patterns, you change your destiny. And when the world sees that you no longer react as before, it will understand that they can no longer treat you the same. 8. Close doors with the elegance of emptiness. Not all doors close with a slam. Some close with silence, with absence, with withdrawn presence, with the firmness of someone who no longer needs to make noise to mark an end. Because closing a door is not just about stopping talking to someone, it's about cutting the emotional bond that still ties you. It's about letting go of the need to understand, to fix, to expect something. It's accepting that not all stories have closure, but that doesn't prevent you from continuing to walk. Most people believe that to let go of something they need a pending conversation, an apology, a justification. But that weight only prolongs the damage. It keeps you tied to what is no longer there. And the more you wait, the more power you give to what hurt you. That's why the most powerful act you can do after an emotional wound is to close the door with dignity, without screams, without rage, without explanation. The elegance of emptiness is not coldness, it's emotional wisdom. It's understanding that not everything deserves a reaction, that there are voids that should not be filled, but respected, that there are people who don't deserve a goodbye, but simply an up to here, and that up to here is not said with words. It's said with your distance, with your decisions, with your transformation. Close the door when you understand that holding on only delays your growth. When you see that what used to define you no longer represents you. When you discover that you can live without that presence you thought was indispensable. And don't do it out of pride. Do it from clarity, from the recognition that if you stay, you're only betraying yourself. The Stoic does not act on impulse, he acts on principle. He does not close doors with hatred, but with firmness. He does not distance himself to punish, but to protect himself, because he knows that where there is no reciprocity, where there is no respect, there is no space to stay. And closing the door in that context is an act of self-love. It's the moment when you decide that your peace is worth more than any unstable connection. Sometimes the biggest change comes when you stop knocking on a door that didn't open, when you stop insisting, justifying, giving opportunities that no longer make sense. Because you can keep giving it all, but if on the other side there is only indifference, you're talking to a wall, and that conversation only wears you out. The elegance of emptiness is not begging, it's not insisting, it's not repeating the same thing expecting different results. It's creating a space where there is no need for noise, because emptiness, when chosen, doesn't hurt. It liberates, it returns you to yourself, it gives you space to rebuild, to breathe, to focus on what does add up. Don't underestimate that power. The person who knows how to close doors without drama, without revenge, without ulterior motives, is a person who no longer defines themselves by what they lost. They define themselves by what they choose not to continue holding. Because some burdens are not dropped. They are stopped being carried. And when you close that door, don't look at it anymore. Don't check if they ask for you. Don't look if they miss you. That stage is over. And you're not made to stay in places where your value was not recognized. Close the door. Let the silence be heard. Let your absence weigh. And let it be noticed that you're not there, not because you're running away, but because you chose to move forward. Because there's something more important than being understood, being free. Thank you for staying until the end of the video. If you watched the whole thing, comment "I am Stoic" as our secret signal to know that you're a true student of Stoicism. Don't forget to subscribe and give the video a like if you enjoyed it. See you in the next video, and remember, keep cultivating your Stoic mind.